Hey YouTube, we are going to go over defense versus stamina and what is more important for GBL because let's actually talk about how it started. How it started was I was looking at I was using Coffagrigus in one of my things, in one of my battles, and Coffagrigus has a weird stat product. So I'm like, okay, it's got like okay attack 112, not too high, not too low, 168 defense, that's great, 2000 overall stat product, that's great. I'm like 106 stamina, that kind of sucks. But I'm like, what's the difference between stamina and defense? Like, why does one matter more than the other? I like Coffagrigus. And then so someone says, I had a couple comments. Some said like they need to be combined, you need to look at overall stat product, there's a formula. Some said like defense is how much charge moves you could take versus stamina is the fast moves. So I decided like, okay, I need to do my own research to look at this up. So the first thing I looked at, I just did defense versus stamina Pokemon Go. And so one of the articles that came up was, okay, defensive stat of each Pokemon determines how well they can take a hit and how well they soak up the damage. Though it doesn't determine the HP, that's stamina. Instead, defense just determines how much damage any given attack will do when it lands. So then you get some of the top defensive heavy Pokemon, and a lot of them that you see on GBL, Defense Deoxys, Regirock, Bastiodon, Registeel, Steelix, right? These are Pokemon, Umbreon, these are Pokemon that you see on the list anyways. Like, okay, what's stamina? And stamina, they just focused on, for gyms, like how much HP your Pokemon will have when they're placed in gyms to control them. So these high ones are the ones you want to put in because they get the highest HP. So I'm like, okay, that doesn't really help me. Is it just HP? Is there more than that? So the first thing I'm like, okay, let's do a Reddit search. Stamina versus defense. And there's a couple from 6 to 8 years ago. So again, so this is like when it first came out. If there's an updated one, let me know. But this one says like defense determines how much damage you will take. Higher defense means the less HP you will lose at all costs at the cost of charging less energy. And stamina determines how much damage you can take. So higher HP. So again, it's getting into like you have a certain amount of HP with stamina. Your stamina will determine your HP, and then your defense will determine how much like the charge moves will do. And then I saw this one, and it's like ultimately the tankiness of your Pokemon comes down to defense times stamina. The defense reduces the damage it takes, and the stamina determines how much damage it can absorb before fainting. So when you're doing a calculation based on IVs, here's the formula they used, which was, again, I'm not even going to try to understand what the formula is, but I think it's like your defense, it looks like your defense stat product, so 212 for Dragonite is the example here, plus the IVs here of 2, times your stamina, 182 base, times your IV equals 4100, and then versus the tankiness of, let's say, a better IV, 15, 13, 2, here, 41, 4. So it looks like your stamina means that if based on this calculation, your stamina means it's more bulky if you actually times the tankiness. So I'm like, okay, that doesn't help. I need to figure this out on my own, just going through different like Pokemon and different stats and stuff like that. So I went to PvPoke, and PvPoke you can organize by categories and you can organize by stat products. I'm like, okay, let's look at defense, let's look at stamina. Maybe one of these comes out with Pokemon that are like more usable. So off the bat, it was like, okay, Carbink, Bastiodon, Toxapex, Defense Deoxys. Yes, those are Pokemon that are good. And then I was like, okay, and then you get to like Onix and Probopass and Uxie, and I'm like, okay, so there's a lot of Pokemon on this list that like, yes, they're defensive heavy, but they're not usable. I'm like, what about stamina? And stamina is just actually very straightforward with the HP that you would not be surprised at the Pokemon on this list. Chansey, Wobbuffet, Blissey, so Guzzlord, the very, very HP focused Pokemon. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's a different one here that can like combine it. So there is a stat product category. Of course, this will just kind of take your overall stat product with like your attack, defense, and stamina. So I'm like, okay, so it still gives like chances number 1, but like we know that that's not true. But then I look at the rest of this list, and I'm like, I'm starting to see Pokemon on here that I know have that nice combo, right? So Bastiodon got that nice combo where it's just like you're not super low with the other one, right? So you have 246, very, very high defense, but your stamina at 138 is actually not too low, right? So when I'm talking about low, I'm talking about like 100, 105, 110. Like that's low on the defense and stamina. So I was like, okay, that stamina like 140, 246 is pretty good. And I'm like, Carbink, okay, we know that. Carbink maybe, so 126 again, slightly higher than 105, 110. And then I just did Umbreon and Mandibuzz in an history of, and I know that they have that nice duo combo there, 177, 175. Sorry, 177, 155 on Umbreon, and very, very, very similar on Mandibuzz, 149, 176. And you get Toxapex in here, 118 again, higher defense, higher. And I'm like, this is Cresselia, Azumarill, Registeel, Clodsire, and I'm like, this is the list. Jumpluff, 153, 155. I'm like, this is the list of Pokemon that I personally would go through when I'm trying to determine which Pokemon I want to build teams around. I think that now you need to take into consideration a couple things. Like, so Chansey and Blissey are on this list, which, you know, if you play this game for a while now, like Chansey, very, very, very niche play in like limited cups, and Blissey like no play. So you need to use your logics. Ardino, same sort of thing, right? So you got 138, 189, great, but like just terrible moveset, right? Zen Headbutt, Disarming Voice, Dazzling Gleam, Hyper Beam, like just terrible moveset for the Pokemon. So if I'm going through a list, you need to, I always say there's 3 things you need to consider: stat product, typing, and moveset. And I think if you organize by stat product on here and use your common judgment, this truly gives you, I think, a top 10 list of Pokemon that you should start looking at if you want a mixture of like Pokemon that can like have a lot of energy, have a lot of health, and take a lot of damage, that provides you the most flexibility. So when I put out teams, I put out thousands of teams probably at this point. There are some Pokemon that I just love using because I think their place in the meta is very strong, or I just know how to use them very well. Togedemaru, Swampert, stuff like that, that wouldn't fit this category. But then there's Pokemon that I always run in sort of team bulk teams. Umbreon, Cresselia, Defense Deoxys, and these Pokemon like never disappoint. I don't use them much. It's funny because I don't actually use them much, but I do think that based just on their stat product alone, with their whatever typing and decent movesets, I truly think that they are some of the best Pokemon in this meta, right? So where you need to like kind of look at these Pokemon is like stat product. If I'm looking at overall stat product, these Pokemon all fit the bill. So then you just need to use your logic of like, okay, what's meta? What's its strengths and weaknesses? So like we know Bastiodon, Caleb Pang, hello. Like Caleb Pang watches these videos. We know super high defense, pretty good stamina, very, very strong Pokemon overall. Where it kind of goes down a bit, you can argue like Smackdown is a very heavy, fast damage Pokemon with very, very high bulk. The problem is just that, like with Smackdown, Stone Edge, Flamethrower, you just get walled by the current meta of like Poliwrath, Quagsire, Whiscash, stuff like that. So it's like, yes, Bastiodon, why Caleb Pang likes it is because like it can be very dominant. It's got the stat product, but it just gets it gets walled. So personally, I don't love using Pokemon like this. I don't love using Bastiodon right now. I don't like using Carbink right now. I think that both are very strong from the stat product category. Decent moveset. It's not like Smackdown, Stone Edge, Flamethrower, and Rock Throw, Rock Slide, Moonblast are like bad movesets by any means. It just based on the current state of the meta, I don't like using Pokemon that could just get absolutely walled and give your opponent not only the switch, but also coming out with like 100 energy. I don't like using Pokemon like that. But then you go down to these Pokemon, and I'm like, these are a lot of Pokemon I do like. So if you watch my Umbreon video, when did I put that out? Maybe yesterday. If you watch the Umbreon video, I talk about how much I really like Umbreon, and it came down to same sort of thing. You got an attack of 90, which is, again, it's a defensive heavy Pokemon, we know that, but we have a super high defense with a really, really strong stamina for a super overall good stat product with decent movesets. And it's been meta since season 1 because even in bad matchups, because you could take so much damage and your Snarl foul play is very, very fast, you were able to like chip and do a lot of damage from that perspective. So it's always been a good Pokemon. And Mandibuzz now running Dark Pulse, Aerial Ace got a buff, lowered energy needed. Now you can use the harder hitting Dark Pulse. It's become a top meta. I'm like, okay. Toxapex, same sort of thing. I like Toxapex overall 118 stamina, a little lower there, but 222 defense. What I don't like about it is, what I don't like about it is Brine. Brine is one of the worst moves in the game. It is high energy, 50, for only stab, 72 damage. If you take off the same type attack bonus, it's only 60 damage, which is like 1.2. This gets you 1.44 damage per energy, but it's a terrible move. But like, yes, Toxapex has a lot of play in some metas. If Toxapex ever got a second move that wasn't Brine, and I don't play the main series game, so I don't know what other water move it can get. If it got any sort of, let me see what sort of water moves there are for charge moves here. See, let's just organize by damage per energy, and you could see, look at that. Look at the crap here. So like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 moves lower than Brine, but 4 out of the 5 have a chance to lower, 100% chance of lowering your opponent's attack, 30% chance of lowering your opponent's check, 50% chance of lowering your opponent's attack by 2, 50% chance of lowering your opponent's defense by 1. Still bad moves, but at least they have some sort of secondary condition. So 50 for 60 for 1.2 is a terrible, terrible moveset. And then like you get into like even like Liquidation or Aqua Tail. Like Liquidation 1.55 damage per energy, less energy, more damage, chance of lowering your opponent's defense. Then you get to like the 1.57 like Aqua Tail, even Weather Ball, like 1.57 damage per energy. Surf 1.62. Scald, we know how broken Scald is at 1.7 to 50% chance. And then like the sort of nukes and stuff like that. So like if this Pokemon ever got a good water move, I think it's like instant top 10, because it does have like your low attack, your high defense, your okay stamina, good overall stat product, typing, poison, water, decent. Ground's a bit of an issue in the open, but electric, psychic, not a ton of that. A lot of good resistances in like fighting and fairy and water. You just get killed with the Brine, in my opinion. And then we know Cresselia has always been a top meta. Again, look at that dual combo, 158, 163. Azumarill, Registeel, Clodsires come out, 120, 209. So this one's higher stamina, but like okay defense plus like good moves and much other things. So if you're ever wondering like where can I go, if you're a newer player, Pokemon, there are so many types of Pokemon that you can use in this game. There are just Pokemon that are fast move damage Pokemon, right? So if you go to the open overall Great League, you got your Charmers, right? You got your Charmers. Oops. They're coming up. Yeah, okay. You got your Charmers that you just use down here. Like Gramble, Shadow Gramble with Charm, Gardevoir Charge, just like fast move Ninetales you can put in Charm there. It's just your fast move damage Pokemon. There are what I call the glass cannons that are spammy. So I like Swampert. Swampert, overall stat product, not bad, but like 136 defense, 108 stamina. 108 defense, 136 stamina. Not a great, not what we're looking for this video, right? And that's not good. But Mudshot, one of the fastest fast moves in the game, with Hydro Cannon, one of the best charge moves in the game. Very, very low energy, high damage per energy. So you can run Swampert. You can do like a triple all glass cannon team with like hit hards, or you can do Swampert and 2 of these bulky Pokemon in there. So it depends on your team build. But what I'm going to say is, if you are a newer player, or that's the second time that's happened now. Sorry. If you are a new player in GBL, I think that going by stat product here is probably some of the safest Pokemon to use in the Open Great League, right? And if you look at the top, again, I'll skip some of these because I just know they, Chansey, Blissey, I'll skip them because I know won't work, Audino. But like Bastiodon, Carbink, Umbreon, Mandibuzz, Toxapex, Cresselia, Azumarill 7, Registeel's 8, Clodsires 9, Diggersby, Jumpluff has some niche play, 11, Araquanid, again, it was everywhere for a minute there, and then like again the meta changed to flyers and stuff like that, so it kind of killed that. Lickitung, Steelix, Galarian Stunfisk, right? There's 15 out of the top 27 there that I would very comfortably say are very strong Pokemon and easy to use because they just have like the combo bulk defense and stamina with like decent movesets that if you put them together in a team will generally do you good, right? There's Dugong at 34. There's Altaria at 41, which is make a big comeback. There's Lantern at 51. So I think what I'm going to say in this is if I'm looking at a Pokemon, I do think that stamina defense combo is more important than just defense or stamina. If I had to pick one or the other, just looking at the defensive Pokemon and looking at the stamina Pokemon, honestly, the defense Pokemon seem to be better, right? Carbink, Bastion, Toxapex, Defenseoxys, Registeel, and then you get into the stamina ones, you're just getting high HP ones for Chansey, Wobbuffet, Blissey, Alomomola, Wailmer. Like realistically, those are not Pokemon you're going to use. So I think it's like looking at the overall stat product of these combined movesets, and you'll notice that when you play with these combo Pokemon, like you're playing with like Umbreon or Cresselia or Azumarill, like you will notice you have more flexibility in your gameplay because when you use something like Swampert, yes, you're launching Hydro Cannons, but man, even Body Slams do like 70% to you because you are so glassy. But when you're using stuff like Azumarill and stuff like that, like even super effective grass moves on Azumarill do like 70%. So it really allows you, so like neutral moves do like 40%. So it really provides you the flexibility in a match to be able to maneuver around situations. Like, do I need to shield this? No, I don't. I can maybe shield it for that. Now, I do caution around using 3 Pokemon that are all the same like this. Like, it's difficult on top of the team not being great, but like Azumarill, Dugong, Cresselia, something like that. You don't have, yes, you got insane bulk, you can move it around, but you generally don't have moves that threaten enough. There are Pokemon on here that I think do threaten. Clodsire with Earthquake and Stone Edge is a great one. I think Defense Deoxys, where did you go? Wherever Defense Deoxys is, there it is, 31. I think Defense Deoxys with Psycho Boost and Thunderbolt provides a lot of stuff. Lantern, when you get down here to Lantern at 50, Surf and Thunderbolt, those start adding up. So I think that if you're going to use like this combo team, use some Pokemon. You can use just some Pokemon that are just like the Umbreons and the Cresselias that are just like truly there to absorb damage, offset by like some other Pokemon that can take damage like Defense Deoxys and Lantern, but also provide you more flexibility of actually like throwing moves and being able to do some damage. So that is stamina versus defense in Pokemon Go. That is where it is important when it comes to GBL. And these are the Pokemon, if you go to, again, PvPoke, sort by stat product, this should give you a pretty good look. Yeah, and I didn't even get down to like the 70s or anything, but like there's your Noctowl and Skarmory in the 50s. There's your Jellicent at 70. There's Eradicate, which I love using, and there's your Whiscash at 84, Gligar at 89, right? So we're getting into Pokemon that, and now some random ones here, but definitely Pokemon that kind of fit the bill of, you ask why is a Pokemon meta? And again, stat product is a very, very strong look at it on top of movesets and typing, and something like Annihilate gets by being super strong in this meta because stat product overall, not good. 123 attack, 106 defense, 137. Like stamina, if I looked at this stamina just without anything else, I would say like, oh, that's kind of ugly. But then you get like counter and shadow ball combo, stab, counter, and shadow ball combo with this very, very, very unique typing of ghost fighting. Makes it a very, very strong play in this meta. So this is just the overall stat product and defense versus stamina is just one tool, one thing that you need to look at for your overall team building. So that's it. Just want to post this video because I think it's important. Again, it was just top of mind for me when I was just like, why is Cofagrigus so such a high defense at 168 but low stamina? So then if you actually like run it and it's truly just the HP, where's your HP here? Let me do a one-on-one battle. Let me just do a one-on-one battle against Azumarill just to see what the actual HP is here. Rate 106, and that's the thing, right? So you can see what the bulk of Azumarill is at 190 versus the very low 106 there. But again, you actually beat Azumarill just going straight Shadow Ball because Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball, super strong combo, and your defense is so high that these Ice Beams are only doing like 30%, right? So there's your trade-off. So it's interesting. These are the type of things that like you need to look at when you're thinking about teams, and not just like, hey, this content creator uses this Pokemon, I'm going to try it out. Like, understand the reason people are using these Pokemon and why that makes them so strong. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for, I don't know, something. Either more of these analysis, more of the behind the meta history of Pokemon, more of crappy catch cup. One of those three. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.